Hey guys, welcome to another video on the Inside Spurs channel. I hope everyone's all right. Hope everyone's okay and they're having a bloody good Tuesday. Obviously, in this video, you can see we are going to be talking about Jamie Gittens, the Borussia Dortmund winger, and a report coming out that we might look at a summer move for Jamie, which we'll be talking about. We'll get there. We'll also do the loan roundup. Some really good stuff out of the loan roundup, really coming out this week. So we're talking about that as well, and a few other little bits and bobs to get to. But yeah, we'll get to them when we get there. I will say, if you're watching this, you know, subscribe. You very much want to join us for the journey. Morning, Marshall. How are you, mate? Steve, Spurs, Bazza, Jake. How are we all? Hope everyone's all right. Hope everyone's looking after themselves and staying out of trouble. Anyway, let's jump in and let's talk. What we'll do is let's roll through the loan roundup as we always do, and we're going to do it really quite quickly due to the fact of got a few players not playing at the moment. So we'll roll through it, and yeah, we'll start with really out in Leeds, because Leeds played last night and actually watched the full 90 minutes. They had a championship automatic promotion 6-point massive game at home to Sunderland, and they were 1-0 down until Pascal Struijk, who, if you don't know who Pascal Struijk is, I wouldn't say he's a massive goal scorer, but he scores a double for Leeds into winning this game. And they scored in 95th minute, which, by the way, I do implore you, if you do want to just have a look at what a last-minute winner limbs look like, check out Leeds last night. It was bonkers. But they were the better team against Sunderland. I mean, it's massive now. They go 7 points clear of third, who is the first team in the playoffs, which is Burnley, which is crazy. Absolutely crazy. Leeds are having a major, major good season. And Manor Solomon did play this game. He was substituted, but he did start. I don't think Manor had a great game, but he has had good games in the last few weeks. And I sort of said to my friend who's a Leeds fan, hey, we'll take 15 million in the summer and we'll move on pretty happily, and you can have him. All right. We'll see. We'll see if he bites on that one. Stoke City flavoured news: 3-1 win at home to Swansea with Ashley Phillips playing the full 90. Massive win, by the way, for Stoke City. Stoke right now are 6 points clear of the relegation zone, which that's massive for them. That's massive for them. You know, Plymouth down there have had a bit of a turnaround in form, 2 wins in their last 3. But Stoke now having 2 wins in the last 3, it just allows them to keep pulling further and further away. Obviously, I'll be talking about Derby in just a second, but that's massive for them. You know, with 14 games left of the championship season, it's not been a great season for Stoke, but 2 wins in your last 3, you're never going to complain about that, you know. But yeah, Ashley Phillips, more minutes for him, which is great. QPR flavoured news with Yang, 4-0 win on Friday night at home to Derby County. I mean, QPR, I was just looking, QPR right now are 4 points behind 6th, which is the playoffs, the last spot in the playoffs. So they're not out of it whatsoever. And Yang registered his first assist in this one, which is great. Absolutely great to see for Yang. The QPR fans love him. He looks very exciting down in the championship. So, hey, buzzing for him. Obviously, he's settling in quite nicely. And he's playing for a team that has something to play for. It's not like he's playing for a team that they're not going to get relegated, but they're not going to be in the hunt for the playoffs. He's at least playing for a team that is in the hunt for the playoffs. I mean, 4 points behind is just crazy. And you never know, is all I'm going to say. Leyton Orient flavoured news, 3-2 win at home to Lincoln City, with Josh Keeley starting, Jamie Donnelly coming off the bench. Should have started him. You'd have won him more easily. But look, Leyton Orient right now sitting in the playoff spots on goal difference ahead of Charlton, 2 points behind Huddersfield in 5th. I mean, they're 8 points behind Wrexham, who are first in terms of the playoff spots. But they're also 7 points behind 4th, but with 2 games in hand. They've won 4 of their last 5. There's balloons. I know, shocking. But you know what? They're having a hell of a season, and such a massive turnaround from when they started this season and you know, tipped to maybe even go down. To be in the playoff spot right now is incredible. I'm just saying, a lot of those teams in the playoffs probably are hoping that Leyton Orient somehow drop off form-wise. That's all I'm going to say. Mansfield Town, by the way, 3-3 draw. Matthew Craig didn't play again. And Alfie Devine didn't play for Westerlo because he's injured. But Notts County losing 1-0 away to Port Vale with George Abbott starting again. I mean, Abbott's playing crazy amounts of football, which is great, obviously, for us. But this was a huge game. This was a game that Port Vale really, wanted to win this one because they're 1 point now behind Notts County in the playoff hunt. These two teams are first and second in the playoffs. They're fourth and fifth in the league. But both teams are within 3 points of second, which is automatic qualification into League One. So huge win for Port Vale, an 85th minute winner, huge win for them. Betis flavoured news, 3-0 win at home to Sociedad. Sociedad went down to 9 men. Zubadia and Becker both getting sent off. Cardoso started and played the full 90, cooking up an absolute feast alongside Giovanni Celso and Anthony. Don't forget old Anthony out on the right wing who scored. But look, this is a team, I wanted to bring this one in with Sociedad as well, because Sociedad is a team that we might play in the Europa League. Obviously, we find out a bit more this week as to who we play. It will be either Sociedad from their second leg, they're 2-1 up, and AZ Alkmaar are 4-1 up ahead of the second leg in Turkey against Galatasaray. So there's a situation where we may play Sociedad. So I'm just going to keep a bit of an eye on them, a bit more maybe so. Obviously, 3-0 loss is pretty damn brutal. But, I mean, when you look at Sociedad this season, I mean, they're 11th. They've lost 4 of their last 5. I can't lie. I mean, they're 4 points behind Vallecano, who are in 6th. But, we getting Spurs fans telling us they're so nervous about Sociedad. This isn't a Sociedad from years past where they are super exciting. They are dangerous. This team's not as good as they used to be. So I don't think we should be worried if we do pull a Sociedad because, 11 v 11, strong versus strong. We should beat them, over 2 legs, no issues. So, yeah, they probably are still the best team out of the teams that we might pull in terms of the 4 that we can get into the next round of Europa, but they're not world beaters. Spurs are still the favourites to win the Europa League, and there's a good reason for that. So there you go. Espanyol 1-1 draw at home to Bilbao. Veliz, I can't remember how many minutes he played. Hang on, let me find him. He came off the bench. That's why I'm having a look. He came on the 78th minute. His minutes have somewhat fallen off recently, but I don't know what's going on there. I really don't know what the future looks like as well for that whole situation. Girona losing 2-1 at home to Getafe. That's a bad loss for them. Obviously, they went down to 10 men, but before they were down to 10 men, they were already losing 2-1. It's not a great result. That's 4 losses in the last 5. I know Getafe are in better form than them, but Getafe being 13th with Girona being 10th, a win would have taken Girona into 7th. That would have left them 1 point behind Vallecano. It would have left them 7 points behind Villarreal. So that's a bad loss for Girona. They really probably needed to win that game, if I'm honest. And finished off Westerlo, 1-1 draw away to Cercle Bruges, with Vuskovic playing the full 90. Like I said, Alfie was out injured in this game. But to be honest, Bruges will be disappointed they didn't come out of this with a win. They dominated across the board, shots, possession, corners, everything. Vuskovic had a really good game, loads of blocks, loads of great defending. But Westerlo really such a weird team. Like they've scored 45 goals a season, but they've conceded 45 in 26, which is just crazy stats, And there you go. Lone roundup done. Not too bad. I've missed some comments. Sonia, how are you? Ozzy, DJ, Cozy, Adiz, Joshua, Boris, Luke, how are we all? It's a good time to be a Spurs fan. Interesting. I'd be happy when we win at Ipswich. Well, yeah, we'll see about that. Obviously, the preview for that, hang on, let me just double check. I don't want to be an idiot. We We play Saturday at 3:00, right? Yeah. So Thursday is the preview for Ipswich, so we'll talk about it then. Best scenario, I hope for win, clean sheet, tail scores, Van der Ven 10-minute appearance, dream weekend. Joshua, you're right, mate. Either way, we'll win whoever we play in the Europa League. Whoa, just have it. We can't go off teams with poor form since we give those points away. Look at Everton. We gave them 3 points. Same with Ipswich and Leicester too. Yeah, do you know what? It's so interesting because you get a lot of Spurs fans who go, "Well, you lost to Ipswich. That's no good." Don't say anything about Chelsea, by the way, losing to Ipswich. Oh, we lost at Brighton. Don't say anything about Chelsea losing 2 games against Brighton in the space of a week. It's just interesting. Very, very interesting. You know, that's a team that spent over £1 billion over like 3 windows. But do not hold them to the same candle as Spurs, who have not spent even anything close to that. I just find that very interesting. You know, again, Liverpool drew away to Everton in the last minute. There's a lot of teams. This is what my point is. You can lose against the teams that are down and struggling in this season because the Premier League isn't what it used to be when Spurs were fighting for, fighting first or fighting for Champions League football and fighting for, the Champions League final. It's not what it used to be. The Prem isn't like that. Teams can beat teams on their day every single time. Yes, of course, we should be beating Ipswich at home. I agree. I'm not denying that. What I'm saying is you get so many people that go, they hold Spurs here, but they hold Chelsea there. Or they hold Spurs here and they hold any other top 6 side seem to be lower. It's very interesting. I mean, look, I love the positivity that you think we should beat everyone 12-0. I love that positivity. It's not going to happen and you're in absolute, you're in cuckoo land. But I love the positivity. So don't ever lose that. But what I'm saying is teams can beat teams on their day. We've not been good this season. We beat Manchester City 4-0 away. We did a better job than Real Madrid. We've done a better job than Arsenal's and all sorts against Man City's this season. Don't hear a word about that. Hear everything about Ipswich. So it's not the games that you win and you play bloody well in. It's the games that you don't win. That's when you hear the Monies out in their large forces. Okay. So for yourself, just remind yourself, anyone can beat anyone on their day. Exeter took Forest to penalties in the FA Cup. Then they actually could have won it in extra time, Exeter. I think they were down to 10 men. If you don't know who Exeter are, they're not in the Prem and they're not in the Championship. They're further. So my point is anyone can beat anyone. It's about trying to build a bit more consistency. And when people tell you we're at full strength for this game and a full strength for this game, they haven't done their research. I'm sorry. People will tell you we're at full strength for Ipswich. I can tell you categorically we weren't. Doesn't fit agendas. I get that. They'll tell you we're at full strength for Brighton. We weren't. I can categorically prove that to you as well. That's my point. Enough of my moaning. Enough of my because I'm coming to Jamie Gittens time. And just pumped for the Ipswich game. I'll say that Chelsea went through an entire purple patch. Morris came in. Now the true style's coming to play. And you can even see Palmer is losing his composure. Palmer was crap in those 2 games against Brighton. I watched both of them. I watched the full games. He was one of the worst players. Pedro Neto, he's having a stinker at the moment. Morning, Andy. Morning, all. How are we all? I said about Gittens in the past, he'd be an excellent sign. I noticed the last few weeks, more clubs near top 6 can lose to anybody. Absolutely. Ipswich would be harder than United, in my opinion. Ipswich drew with Villa. They've beaten Chelsea. I think they got a draw against Brighton. I think they did. But that's my point. Anyone can lose to anyone in this league. Now, do we need to be winning this game at the weekend? Absolutely, we should be, and we should be the favourites to win this game. I know people will go, but Spurs are out of form. But there's no offence to Ipswich; they are a recently promoted side. But what I would say is, these guys turn up. Ipswich are no mugs. They turn up. They gave Liverpool issues on the first game of the season. They got a result against Brighton. Villa last weekend, they were down to 10 men and got a draw at Villa. I've not heard a peep out of people saying that Villa are crap. Not had a peep. So, beating Chelsea at home, by the way. So, like I said, It's just it's one of those things. Okay. Plymouth beat Liverpool, I believe. They did beat Liverpool. They rotated quite heavily and beat Liverpool. Don't mention Man City losing 9 in a row because we beat them. The Prem is changing. Even Brighton has internationals top to bottom. It's 5-0, not 12-0. We saved that for Europa final. Against fine, I'll be happy. We got taken to extra time by Tamworth. They are, but that's my point. Football is a weird old game nowadays. It's a weird old game. I picked my relegation 3. One Southampton, 2 switch the way they're going 3 with Man United. Wiltshire do have England's best young striker in their lineup. As you see him moving to a top 6. That's the thing. They have got. I mean, people talk about Delap, Hutchinson, really exciting player. I really like Hutchinson as well. You've got Leif Davies at left back, so you've got some really explosive athletes in their team. They're no mugs. The fact that they got automatic promotion from League One to the Championship to the Premier League. It's got a good coach. They've got a great core group, and they buy into the system. What would be your top 3 targets this summer if you were director of football? Jesus, I don't know. Well, look, if money wasn't an issue, and it's not an issue, but you know what I mean. Money wasn't an issue, and Spurs could do what the hell they want and act the way they should. Jamie Gittens probably would be on my list. I like Piero Hincapié. David Hanko, I still think will probably be on the list somewhere. I like Hincapié, but I don't see him coming. Just because I like the idea of having a centre-back hybrid with left-back. And for midfield, because I would want a midfield in that as well for like a top 3. I don't know. Really don't know. I'll have to have a think about that midfield one. Sav Ramon Sporting. Yeah, that's a bad move in the end. Philogene too. Yeah, absolutely. Right, Jamie Gittens flavoured news. Come on, let's get in there. So, came from Tom Barkley. Put in the article saying Tottenham are eyeing up an audacious summer move for Borussia Dortmund starter Jamie Gittens. He's been a long-term target for Spurs who are keen to bolster their left side of their attack. There's plenty of competition for the former Manchester City Academy player, with Arsenal, Manchester United and Chelsea also tracking him. It's weird. He's having a good season, but Dortmund really are struggling. I mean, they're 11th in the Bundesliga. They've won 1 of their last 5. Winning 1 and losing 5 of their last 7. They're 8 points off the top 4, so it's not crazy. They can still get in the top 4, not an issue. And they are 3-0 up in the second leg against Lisbon to go through into the next round. He's valued around about 80 million. Now, there's the issue there and then. 80 million Spurs. Again, I'll reiterate that. 80 million Spurs. Are you joking? You might get 18. 1-8. You're not going to get 8-0. Super talented. Super explosive. When people talk about players beating their man, this is a guy that does, and consistently. But it's 80 million. Even though Spurs obviously need to plan for the future when it comes to Heung-Min Son and obviously what are they going to be doing to replace him going forwards, I don't see it being Jamie Gittens. Now, glass half full when it comes to this Spurs squad right this second is we should be looking at Wilson Odobert and Mikey Moore and Yang even, to be fair. Are one of those 3 going to really hit the ground and take that spot really from Son going forward? And I think, from what we've seen, Wilson probably is the one outstanding at the moment. Even though we've not seen a lot of him, what we have seen is a young player who can beat his man fairly regularly, which is, when you see Spurs, it's like Spurs just get excited by a guy beating a player now. We were spoilt with Gareth Bale and Aaron Lennon, who could just beat any fullback as much as they wanted. Sonny in his prime. Not his prime, because that's not fair. Sonny when he was younger. And Son still beats his man from time to time now, obviously. And I think he probably still would more so when he's not having to play 3,000 minutes a week. But in reality, when you think about Spurs over the last sort of 10 years, they've not had wingers that beat men all that often. I mean, you had Eric Lamella and Christian Eriksen and Dele Alli, and they weren't exactly beating men, as much as they want. So I think, having this idea that we need wingers to beat their men every attack is somewhat overrated, in my opinion. It's nice to have, but it's not crucial to having success when you think about the wingers nowadays. Having players that can beat players isn't everything. It's about having the system to pick a pass. In reality, when you think about the Premier League, most of the time they've picked a pass. It's 1-2s on the edge of the box. It's that style of play which drives the most success. I think Odegaard obviously is something a bit different, and I think that's why it's exciting. And I think, he's still very young. He's only just coming back from injury. Let's see what we have in him. But I think, between now and the end of the season, let's see what we've got with Wilson. I think Wilson has the ability to stake claim to that left wing position, especially, still with Europa League football to be playing for this season, still got the Premier League. Injuries will happen. As much as we've had, an ungodly amount of injuries so far, more injuries will happen, more injuries will come. And I think that's why Wilson's going to get more and more minutes. Mikey will get more and more minutes. I think Yang next season, I'm really looking forward to what we get, in the fact that you get Yang with a pre-season, learning more and more about ange ball and English football, to be fair, to a degree, and learning how your body needs to adapt to it. From what I've seen at QPR so far, he's very exciting. So I'm not saying Spurs won't go and get a left winger, but all I'm saying is there is a possibility that you go into the summer transfer market and go, well, I think Spurs might need a right winger, not a left winger, because I think, Son will give you another season, right? I still think he's got the ability to give you another season. Mikey and Wilson, very young still. Yang, still young. But you've still got another few months left of this season, another preseason going into next year. When you think about, Wilson didn't really get a preseason with us, did he? Mikey lost, 2 months of the season. Wilson's obviously missed quite a bit of time of the season. A preseason, more and more adapting to what we want our wingers to do, and ange ball and things like that. And as much as we dig out Timo, if you think about Timo's minutes, they'll be freed up for these guys to have even more football. All the things will come around. All of these things will be beneficial for us into next season. So we may not even need a left winger. I feel like right winger might be more so what we need than a left winger, especially if you feel like Kulusevski might be used more centrally. Even though I don't have an issue with the idea of, Kulu mixing, matching his right wing with central midfield. It's a different dynamic to have. But again, if he was to get injured, you're losing a player that plays two positions. And he's been really durable. He's not going to be durable forever. So that's my thinking on that. So I feel like right wing, probably out of the two areas, would be something I would look at more. If it's a striker, Richarlison, let's be real, I think it's moving on in the summer. I know he might not want to, but I feel like there might be a conversation to say, mate, you're going to be the third striker now behind. And Matisse Tell, we need to have this mindset that Matisse will be a player here next season permanently. Cash in on Richie, make Matisse Tell have minutes as a striker with Solanke. Let's see what one of those three young strikers give us. But yeah, we'll sort of see. I don't know what you guys think about that. With a pre-season and had half a season of football in the Championship, absolutely. Exactly. How about looking in-house? Odegaard more, don't forget Tell. Areas we need is midfield, defence. I think if they sell Richie, Tell will be the striker replacement. That's my attitude on it. That's why I feel like maybe a right winger is probably more so important. Even though, yeah, Matisse probably could give you a little bit of time out on right wing, especially, like I said, our right wingers aren't the bigger creators. I feel like the left-hand side, due to Maddison and Sonny being the bigger of the creating side, whereas the right-hand side is more of a goal-scoring side. When you think about Johnson being one of our top goal scorers this season, that's why I feel Matisse probably could give you minutes out on the right wing, even though he is more of a striker for me. But But yeah, I feel like obviously you got John O. I mean, I don't know. I will obviously we'll get more of an understanding through the next couple of months what we see in Matisse, and is he more of a right winger? Is he going to be a striker for us? I do think it's more striker personally, but you never know. Things can change, and he might hit an all-time sweet spot out on the right wing, and things might change differently there. But central midfield's obviously an interesting with Basuma and Bentancur. What's there? Obviously, Bergvall and Archie look like they're going to be rock stars. And I think Bergvall, by the way, is getting better and better every single week we watch him. Obviously, you got Madders, who's, Madders is class. Sarr, I think, will be here as well. But, if you move, you need to add into that midfield room. You need to add into the left back room, another centre back potentially. Obviously, Vuskovic is coming in, so they may not need to. You got your keepers sorted. Your right backs are now sorted with Spencer's emergence. So there'll be a really interesting situation come summertime with all those guys that I do a loan roundup on. Who's going to be with the first team next season? You'll have the situation where a lot of those players who maybe like George Abbott's in League Two, let's get him moved to League One. Jamie Donnelly's in League One. Josh Keeley's in League One. Let's see what we give him pre-season. But, those guys might get a really good championship move, for a championship playoff side, which is crazy good development for them long term. That might be, they might kill it and they might destroy it and they might be in with the first team next season. And, when we talk about needing midfielders, maybe Jamie Donnelly is one of those guys that could be a midfielder for us. And unless the Saudis offer us 46 million for Son, I don't see him going. No, I don't think he will be going to Saudi. It'll be Richie of the two. We need a Buemo at least. Richie out, so possibly around one of the youth strikers too. Potentially, I think Donnelly needs to stay next season. The games that Spurs lose against Leicester are basically always caused by not showing up. Arrogance on top of that. We love to go out of our way to make it extra embarrassing. Well, yeah, I think at times we take it too easy against those teams because they go, we beat Man City 4-0 away. We beat Manchester United 3 in a row this season. We beat Liverpool at home. Even Dragon, how are you, mate? I wouldn't be surprised if Leeds get promoted. No, they're not going to offer us that kind of money, mate. They're not offering 30 million for Man or Solomon. It'll be 10 to 15. Donnelly, Devine, Vuskovic coming back, and don't forget Solomon, sell or keep, sell Solomon. I think our spend ambitions depend on us winning the Europa League and going to the Champions League. Well, maybe so. When you think about the guys out alone, Brian will be gone. Solomon will be gone. The rest of them will be... I mean, Ashley Phillips, let's have a conversation there. What we see of him in pre-season. Obviously, Devine. Vuskovic will be in with the first team next year, they reckon. Donnelly, Keeley. The Lees, there's a conversation to have there, potentially. So, yeah, there's a lot that needs to happen next summer with things like that. Rich go back to Real Fluminense. Reguilon will be gone in the summer. His contract will be up and he will be gone. So we'll see. But anyway, some really good stuff in there. Obviously, loan roundup, a little bit of chat on Jamie Gittens and a chat around the squad as a whole. Let me know your thoughts down below. And, we may be back later. We don't know. I'm uploading on the second channel in just a second. That'll be up probably in the next sort of 20 minutes. But thanks very much for watching. And I'll speak to you all tomorrow to talk about more about Spurs. Look after yourselves. Take care. Peace.